So the topic that we are going to discuss today is accrual schemes or ledger accruals. So call it by any name. So it can be accrual schemes or ledger accruals. So any idea what is an accrual? Anyone? So generally accrual means so there will be some task for which we will pay or we might have to receive. So it can be either revenue or an expense. So which is an accumulated one. So for which a provision is created or normally you can pay and you can show it as an accrual like or you have to receive it and you can show it as an accrual means somebody is liable to pay you for some task that you are delivering them or some service that you are delivering them. So apart from accruals, does anybody know what is a deferred expense or a deferred revenue? Anything? I'm sorry for this deferred expense. Advertisement expenses. So advertisement expenses, we will pay advertisement expenses today. Suppose like 1 lakh. Okay. So this is for my whole year. So I have subscribed to a television channel that to telecast my advertisement of my product every day in the channel. So throughout the year they will telecast in the channel for the 1 lakh that we paid. So we have paid it today itself. The condition is that although we paid the total amount today, they have to telecast it for 365 days in their television. So the obligation behind the expense that we have made will be completed or completely met only when 365 days is completed or 12 months is completed. So until then, this expense that you have expended 1 lakh rupees is still valid, or you have to receive the benefit out of it until the 365 days or the 12 months is completed or the whole 1 year is completed. So that kind of expenses are called deferred expenses. The same way I'll give you another example. I'll give it as insurance. Okay. Insurance expense. Suppose assume that you are buying a bike today. Okay. If you are buying a bike today, you have to definitely buy an insurance for 5 years, right? That's a mandatory. You have to apply for your bike insurance to an insurance company and pay the 5 years premium now itself. Complete amount of something like 6,000, 7,000, something you will pay. So the amount that you are paying today, the 7,000 for assume that 7,000 amount you will receive the service or you will have that obligation that whenever your bike will meet with the accident in the next coming 5 years, you will get the refund, or if your bike is lost, you will get the refund from the insurance company. The insurance expense that we are paying today while we are buying the bike is applicable or is valid until 5 years, right? The obligation behind it is still carried until 5 years. So if you are not claiming it for 4.5 years and in the last year or the last month of the last fifth year, if you met with an accident, you can still get the benefit out of it because the insurance is still valid until that particular month. So these kind of expenses are called deferred expenses. Deferred expenses are those where the obligation that you have to receive something or against that expense that you have met, the service or the product or anything. So that will be served to you or given to you, or you are obliged to take it until the complete obligation behind it is met. Actually, I mean the complete time behind it is met. So mostly it is applicable to services only, like advertisement and insurance service or any other service products. If you're buying or subscribing, then it is applicable to those kind of products. So in the same example, then what is a deferred revenue? Anyone with this, the same kind of perspective, what is a deferred revenue? Deferred revenue almost similar to the same. So here you are paying, right? In deferred revenue, you will receive. So you will receive some amount from a customer, or a customer will subscribe to your product or your service from you, or will subscribe to you paying that amount, something like 50,000 he paid for complete 1 year. So for this complete 1 year, you have to provide the service, right? He's paying 50,000 for complete 1 year and you are obligated to provide the service to that particular customer for complete year. 12 months. So in case if the customer is not satisfied with your service after 2 months, he will revoke the contract. If you revoke the contract, you have to pay the remaining amount back. So you will deduct the 2 months amount and the remaining 10 months amount you will repay him. Right? If at all the terms and conditions are as so, then you have to repay him. So that's the condition we have under deferred revenue. The same you have with deferred expense also. Mostly insurance expenses and something are not. I mean, if there is an agreement that if suppose if we have paid some expenses to the channel and if we have made an agreement that if it is not telecasted properly, we'll file a suit and we'll get the refund of our money back. So the same way, if channel is not telecasting your ad properly, you will file a lawsuit against the channel or ask the channel for refunding your amount. So they will refund the amount. So the obligation is still there until 1 year. If in this 1 year, at any time, if you're not satisfied with the service provided by that particular television channel, you can revoke your contract and get your money back, the whatever amount that you have paid. So that is why we will not recognize deferred expense as a total expense at a time. So the 1 lakh that we pay at a time will not be recognized at a time. So since the obligation is for 12 months, so each month we will recognize the amount at the end of at the end of the month or at the starting of the month according to your wish. So this 1 lakh will be divided into 12 parts and each month we will recognize one part out of those 12 parts as a completed expense or the obligation is met, right? I mean the service is over for that 1 month. So that partial amount is now is a complete expense. The other remaining other are accrued expenses. Still you can receive them back if the provided, I mean the service being provided is not satisfactory if you revoke the contract. The same way deferred revenue. If you receive some amount from your customer, you have to provide a proper service according to your agreement. In case if you fail to provide a proper service, they will revoke the contract and you have to pay it back. So until and unless you have provided the service completely for the 12 months, this 50,000 is not yours. Okay, this 50,000 is still the customer's as long as the service has to be provided. So once if half of the service is provided, I mean 6 months service is done, 25,000 is yours. And if he is revoking it after 6 months, 25,000 is his money. You have to repay him back. Since you are not able to provide service successfully for the complete year, half money you will take and half he will take it back. So always the deferred revenues and deferred expenses will come with an obligations and contracts. Kind of the same. So in these kind of situations, revenues or expenses are recognized or originally recorded only when you meet the obligation behind it. So suppose as I told you this, say assume it as 60,000. This 60,000 is for 12 months. This is a subscription fee that my customer paid to pay. So I have to provide 12 months of service for this 60,000. So each month it will cost almost 5,000, right? 5,000 each month into 12,000. So total 60,000. Now I have provided service for 2 months. Later, my customer is not satisfied with the service and he will revoke the contract. Then out of the 60,000, only 10,000 is my earned revenue because I have provided service for the 2 months. Even though if he's not revoking the contract, only 10,000 is my earned revenue because I only met 2 months of service. Remaining 10 months, I have to still meet the service and at any time the customer can revoke the contract. So I could not recognize it as a earned revenue until and unless that complete obligation is met behind that particular revenue that I have received. So to do this, I'll first show some configuration and I'll show the example. Later we can again come back to this point and discuss. Okay. So to configure accruals, we have to go to general ledger. This is a little complex part. Try to understand. Okay. In general ledger, under journal setup, I have accrual schemes here. General ledger, journal setup, accrual schemes. So if I click on accrual schemes here, I can see it's an empty form. I can create an accrual scheme. So I'll go for new and I'll create an accrual scheme as, insurance expense. Okay. Insurance insurance expense or accrued insurance expense. Okay, here I have to give a debit account and credit account. Both are compulsory, and I have to give voucher also. We'll see both of all of them. So I'll create two accounts now. So to create main accounts, normally I'll go to view details. First I'll create insurance expense account, expense 5 series, right? 5 lakh 9, I'll go for insurance expense. Okay, 5 lakh 9 insurance expenses expense account. I'll save it. Okay. Then I'll create one more account. This time I'll create 1 lakh 9. Okay. The account name is uh, accrued insurance or accrued or prepaid insurance. Okay. This is a asset account. So whatever we prepay will be assets only for us. So I select it as an asset account. Now I have created two accounts, insurance expense account, which is an expense account, and accrued or prepaid insurance, which is an asset account. I'll go back now. So in the credit, I'll give the expense account. So whatever normally when we post entry, expense account will be debited, right? So that is why I'm giving the same here as credit account. So here I can see insurance expense account. Under debit, I'll give accrued insurance account 1 lakh 9. Sorry, here. So here I gave accrued insurance account and here I gave insurance expense account. Perfect. Then I'll select a voucher. Here, same voucher for all transactions. Normally, if we apply the accrual scheme, it will post each transaction for a single month. So if I whatever the selection we do, monthly or daily, it will post transactions accordingly. I'll select monthly. So every month it will post one voucher. So for that voucher, do you want same voucher number or do you want a different voucher number? You can select here. So new voucher for each transaction date, if you select, you have to give a number sequence code. Or if you select same voucher for all transactions, it will take the same voucher number which is taken from the general ledger. Okay, or directly it will take. So we will see that I am taking same voucher for all transactions. Even though it is dividing it into pieces for each month, I'll select the same voucher number so that all the transactions will be linked or will be under same voucher number. Then I can give some description here. I can give the same description actually. It's monthly. I can give here accrued insurance expense monthly. So then I can select accrual basis on the basis of calendar or fiscal calendar or any other allocation key. Calendar means normally January to December calendar. Fiscal calendar means your unique fiscal calendar. So your unique fiscal calendar can start from any month and end at any month, right? So it's your wish. And also it can start from the middle of the month sometimes, or some periods can be. I mean, if at all it is a 445 calendar, so one period ends with 28th of one month and the next period starts with 29th of one month, like that. So it can, according to your selection, either you can select your own fiscal calendar or regular calendar. Regular calendar means it's a normal monthly calendar with 31 days, like that. So I'm selecting the same. Period frequency it is asking. So I'm selecting monthly frequency because I'm paying it for 12 months and I'll divide it into 12 periods. So number of occurrences by period, actually here what we should give 12 only according to me. Let me check. Let me just duplicate this tab and go for USMF. Yeah. F prepaid insurance, yeah, 3. Okay, perfect then. So we can select 12 months, or if it is for 3 months, we can select 3 months. So I want 12 months, like 1 year, right? Occurrences. So I'll select 12 months. Then I'm selecting post transactions on daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis. Since we have selected months only here, I'll select months only here. So then the selection is at the beginning of the month, you want to You want to recognize it as an expense or at the middle of the month or at the end of the month. It is your selection. So according to whatever you select, the transaction will be posted for first of January or middle of January or end of January, like that. Or in this every month, first of every month or middle of every month or end of every month. So I'm selecting beginning of every month. Okay. Spread month and quarter values evenly or according to the number of days. Suppose the total amount is 60,000 and we have 12 months, right? Suppose it is 60,000 and 12 months, right? So it will evenly spread. It evenly means 5,000 each month. Okay. Yeah, or it will also spread according to the number of days. Means every month will have different days, right? 30, 31 and 28. So according to the number of days, it will divide the balance. I'll go it for evenly. Let it divide it in the evenly, like 5,000 each month. Okay. This is my criteria I have selected for this accrual scheme. Okay, don't worry, I'll explain you once again. First, let us try to apply this scheme and see how the entries are being posted. Again, I'll come back to explain this for you. Okay. So this scheme is created. I see the debit account that I have to give there. I gave it as credit account. I mean, this expense account, which I have to give in the entry as a debit account, I gave it here as credit account. This one I gave it as debit account. Okay, and normal selection I have done calendar, monthly calendar, and 12 months. Then post transactions for each month, then in the beginning of the month, and spread them evenly. Okay. So I will try to apply this scheme on one of the transactions that I'm going to post now. So I will post a transaction of insurance expense, which I will pay, right? Insurance expense will be debited and prepaid insurance expense will be credited. Whatever I selected here, I'll do the reverse in the entry. So I'll show you that. I'll just change it back to go back and change it back to MRF. MRF, okay. Then I'll go to general ledger, go to general journals. Create a new journal. Select a journal name. Select journal. Give it as insurance expenses 2021. I just gave it like this. Go to lines. So here a line is created. Now I'm selecting the voucher for insurance expense payment. So I'm selecting insurance expense here, which is 5,09,000 account. Here insurance expense. I'm debiting the insurance expense for 60,000. See, we know that insurance expense will be debited. So that is why I gave an accrual scheme insurance expense as credit. We have to give it in reverse in accrual scheme. Okay. So let me complete the voucher. I just gave it as debit amount of 60,000. The offset account is not cash account. So offset account I'll give is prepayment insurance or whatever the expense account that I created, right? The asset account, accrued or prepaid insurance account that I'll give here. Okay, 1,09,000 account I gave here, prepaid insurance expense. So this is the voucher that I have created. I mean voucher number 27. Ledger account I selected is insurance expense account with 60,000. Debit and credit account is the prepaid insurance account. Okay, so this way I think in advertisement expense plus I'll take insurance expense. So insurance expense and accrued insurance expense. Okay, this is debited and this is credited now in this entry. Exactly. So now here we can apply this scheme, accrual scheme that we have created right here. We can apply that accrual scheme to this particular entry that we are posting. So I'll select the date of it as 1st of January, since I'm paying my insurance for whole year starting from 1st of January. Okay. So starting from 1st of January I have selected. I'll try to apply this scheme here, functions. So under functions, I have this scheme called ledger accruals. Here I can see it, fourth option. So if I click on ledger accruals here under functions, I can see the accrual identification, which scheme has to be applied. We only have one, right? Accrued insurance expense scheme that we created, this one. I can only see that one here. So I'll select this and I can see the base amount is 60,000. Okay, 60,000. Start date is 1/1/2021. Okay, whatever the date we give here is the start date. Then end date is 12/31/2021. How I can see it as 12/31/2021, or I mean December 31st, 2021. Any idea? Anyone?
We give periods as 12.
Yeah, we gave months as 12 months, right? So because we gave it as 12 months, I can see the end date is 31st of December. So complete 12 months. Then here I can see account or offset account selection, but it will be the same actually. I'll show you how you can see it. Okay. Before I apply this scheme and post the transactions, I can see some draft, or I can see the transaction that is going to be created. So how I can see that transactions before I post it is here. I can see how it is going to divide the 60,000 balance. If I click here on transactions, you can see, right? So it is going to divide the journal that we are posting in this way. So every month, this insurance expense account 5,09,000 is at the starting of the month, it is debited for 5,000, and this one accrued in or prepaid insurance expense, prepaid insurance is asset account is being created for 5,000. So every month 5,000 is recognized as an expense, or 5,000 is recorded as an expense. 60,000 is not at a time recorded. That entry that you post will be automatically reversed. That one that we posted, the original one, like 60,000 entry, will be reversed and it will automatically divide it into 12 parts, one for each month. So for the 1st of January, I can see it is 5,000 and 5,000. For the 1st of February, I can see insurance expense is debited for 5,000 and accrued insurance is created for 5,000. In the same way, until December 1st of December, we gave it here beginning of the month, right? So because of this selection, beginning of the month, entry will be posted in the beginning of the month only, or the expense is recognized on the beginning of the month only. So here until by the end of December 31st, I can see total 60,000. So 12 parts of 5,000, total 60,000 will be recognized and expense. And the insurance expense account will be usually reversed automatically. I mean that 5,000 will be, I mean every month it will be decreased with 5,000. So until and unless this 12 months is met, that 5,000, I mean every month you can see 5,000 only, and this whatever the balance you have in accrued insurance expense will be your asset, or it will show up as a prepaid expense, which will be your asset only. This will show as some balances in your balance sheet account, or in your balance sheet it will show as a holding amount until the obligation is met. So once the obligation is met, the total accrued insurance expense will be completely reversed. It will become zero, and only the expense account will be debited with 60,000 completely. That's the whole motto of this entry or accrual scheme. One transaction that we are going to record here. I'm sorry, I'll go back and show you once again. I want to record it, delete a record in ledger accrual release here. No. Okay, I'll just delete it. We can apply it back. So one transaction we are recording, right? 60,000. It will be broken into 12 pieces. Generally be broken into 12 pieces. That's all. That 12 are the original transactions we'll get, one for each month. So that is the whole agenda of accrual scheme. So according to whatever you say, system will post the transaction on that particular time. If you say beginning, so we have seen it. It is posting on first of every month. Suppose if I say ending means it will post transaction on end of every month. Suppose even though I'm creating it for 1st of January here, if I apply this accrual scheme again, going to ledger accrual, apply the same scheme, but I change it to end, right? So I'm applying the same scheme, same start date and same end date. I'll click on transactions here. You can see here. Now you can see it is posting transaction for 31st of every month, 31st, 28th, 31st again, 30. So end of every month. What is the last date of every month? That same transaction of insurance expense account is being debited and accrued insurance expense or prepaid insurance expense account is being credited. The same way, I mean, whatever you are posting here, yeah, whatever 60,000 you are posting, right? So it is breaking it into 12 parts. One for each month, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. Evenly it is breaking. And how why it is breaking evenly? Because you gave condition here as evenly. So according to your selection, it will break it evenly. That's the whole motto of accrual scheme. So let me try to apply the scheme properly and I'll post this journal. Okay. Go to ledger accruals, apply the scheme, insurance expense. Then if we click on account and if we click on transactions, you can see this transactions. I mean, this insurance expense is debited and this expense is credit. This one is credited asset account or accrued insurance expense account. If I select offset here and I can see offset account, which is accrued prepaid insurance account. Suppose if I click on transactions now, I can see the same entry, but this one shows up and this one shows down. I mean, debit and credits are same, but just for view sake, this accrued insurance will show on the top as a credit and the same revenue, I mean, insurance expense account will be showing as debit only. Again, I mean, same entry, but just that sequence changes. This one goes up and this one goes down in every single transaction or every single date. That's it. Just for the view sake only, it will. You can normally click on account and now click here on OK if you want to apply this scheme to this journal. So I'm just clicking on OK. Done. Now I will post this entry. So let us see what is the voucher once we get once after posting this. See, I posted it. Once I posted it, I can see the voucher here, how it is posted. So if I click on voucher, I can see one entry where accrued or prepaid insurance expense here is both debited and credited. Both the same account is debited and credited here in this voucher, which means money is entered into this account. Both are reversed completely. I mean, this is a uh, useless voucher, if I can say. The same account is debited and same account is created, right? So balance will become zero, obviously. And this is not the original voucher. So behind this, there will be another voucher that is for the 12 months. So this will be a dummy voucher only. Do not recognize this voucher. Okay, if I go for transactions, not transactions actually. Let me cancel this. Go for transaction origin. So if I go for transaction origin, I can see the actual entries. So in the 1st of January, I can see that same account is getting reversed, which is a dummy voucher. So it will become zero only. Let us eliminate these two lines. Okay. Other than that two lines, you can see for every month end, you can see a separate entry. Insurance expense being debited and accrued or prepaid insurance being credited. Same insurance expense 5,000, accrued prepaid insurance minus 5,000, credit 5,000 for February. For March again, for April again, every month at the end of every month, there is a separate entry or single individual entries posted with the even amount for all the 12 months. So I'll tell you then what happens if this is so. If this is posted as so, generally this one insurance expense is debited, right? So this is for 60,000 for suppose. This is also for 60,000. So in the same time, this entry is also posted. 60,000 and cash account 60,000 will be posted, which means, sorry, not 6,000, 60,000. Okay. Which means we are paying cash. Cash will be deducted from our account. Okay. But since cash is deducted, accrued insurance expense will be debited. So you can see this one, both of them will get cancelled. This will be the final entry. Insurance expense debit 60,000, cash account credit 60,000 will be the final entry. Normally this is the entry, but since we are applying accrual scheme, so every month it will be 5,000, 5,000 increasing in the insurance expense. Not directly 60,000 will not show up. 5,000, 5,000 will increase, and in the accrued insurance expense account 5,000, 5,000 will reduce or be credited.